Be the right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most. How about in? That is better than most. Better than most. Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the final High Noon live show of the year. No laying up live show presented by our friends at High Noon. Solly here, Big Randy here. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. Great to be back. Excited to what an event. Excited to talk about it, Solly.
TC is here. Hello, Mr. TC.
Hey guys, just a standout weekend overall. Jags lost again. Randy, I was glad to see your Bengals win though.
Thank you. The real Queen City
Bengals
prevailed today.
No matter the forecast, live like the sun's always out with High Noon Hard Seltzer made with real spirits and real juice. Text some friends to get the plans going. Pick up a pack on the way. High Noon's 100 calories with no added sugar, available in vodka seltzer and tequila seltzer variety packs with crisp, delicious flavors for every occasion under the sun. Visit highnoonspirits.com to find a pack near you. High Noon, sun's up, guys. I saved a guava and I saved a kiwi for tonight. Those are my two favorite flavors. And I just want to give a big shout out. 57 live shows, I believe it is this year. Could not do it without the support of High Noon. So we greatly appreciate it. I'm sure everyone in the chat is cracking a High Noon as you're tuning in as well. But it's a pleasure to bring you tonight's show. And it's been a pleasure all year long to do that. So thank you to High Noon. We could not do it without you.
Amen.
Randy, your favorite week of the year is over, man. I'm sorry, but you know, I feel blessed to be here tonight with you to be able to recap it.
Yeah. No, listen, I had hopes that this was going to be a tight President's Cup. And Solly, I am curious. You know, at one point today, you did message, guys, is this interesting? And there was a little intrigue for, you know, a few minutes.
It wasn't.
There's always the moment. There's always that little moment where it's like,
I don't think we got that moment.
It's like 90 seconds. Like those four matches all flip, then you know, it could. I mean, it could.
Solly, Randy and I are normally the two guys that are saying outrageous shit of like we see a pass. Like and I couldn't even squint hard enough to see anything today. So
I said this earlier on Twitter, but I was like, man, it does make you appreciate like Medina was that. It was like that. Well, if all 8 things go this exact way, then they could win. And that actually happened. And it does keep you that does haunt every time you see the U.S. up in something. You're like, could it? Could it? But this international team was not going to be the ones that did that. So
no. So listen, we're back at 18.5, 11.5. The U.S. is 13-1-1 all time in these things. And so it's just like at a certain point, you know, if this was a dog, I think we'd have to shoot it. Like what this international team, I don't know, man.
Easy there, governor of one of the Dakotas. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, South Dakota, I think. But in all sincerity, like I do think, you know, bits aside, that there's a real problem with this event when it's 13-1-1 all time. And it just I apologize. We don't need to harp on it all day, but I do think it's impossible to ignore that context as we talk about what went down today.
I went and looked it up, Randy. It's only flipped to U.S. win after Saturday one time, and that was 2019. They were tied in 2005, and the U.S. went on to win, but the U.S. has been leading after the Saturday sessions into singles and won every single time except for 2019 and the tie in 2005. Like it hasn't really even been close. We've only had we've only had 2 team events. If I think I had this right, 2 team events flip on the final day. And that is Medina and 2019 at Royal Melbourne. Those are the only 2 I think that, you know, there was someone else leading going into the final day and it flipped. I'm not positive about that one, but I mean, 04 was a blowout. 06 was a blowout. It has to be true. So maybe 2010. I mean, I think that one was a really close one, but that's about it. But let's get into the matches. We're gonna talk about each match a little bit. We are going to go through them as they ordered in the order that they finished. Then we're going to go through person by person, player by player, kind of look back at their week, their stats for the week, their strokes gained, see where they rank, and we're going to give them grades. We're going to grade the captains. We're going to talk a little about the venue, the uniforms. We're going to give NBC a grade, the overall event. Going to play some Ryder Cup games where they got an action-packed show. Get to some questions there on the back half of that. But Jason Day was not good enough to play in yesterday's matches, but he was good enough to go out first, put 2 birdies on the board early, but absolutely got ran over by Xander Schauffele. Honestly, not through much fault of Jason Day at all, because it was just a total ass whooping. Xander's gained almost 5 shots on his own ball today, and he was the alpha. He was the dude. He was my pick for top American scorer. That was not a bold call, but he answered the bell, man. And I just have to give a big shout out to Xander on that one.
I mean, I think you're absolving Day a little bit too much. He birdied the first 2 and then played the next like 10, 11, 12 holes and 2 over par. Like, he didn't exactly crush it today. And then he had the chip in eagle on 12, but not his best. And we said last night on the show, needed to go out, be a tone setter, pissed off after sitting all day yesterday, and didn't do any of that. So kind of a tough scene. I think Jason Day is who we've always thought Jason Day was, which is unfortunate.
And listen, I continue to Xander, I was sitting here Friday night, Solly, and I was like, what is Xander doing? Like,
too short.
Is he that guy? Is he too short? Is he this or is he that? And like, this is the performance. And to his credit, like, we saw this in majors this year. So it shouldn't be surprising, but yet at a certain point, it's still, I don't know. I just don't expect it necessarily, but he continuing to put up performances like this, I should expect it. And I just want to say good on him. I mean, he did exactly what the U.S. team was looking for out of this opening spot.
Amen.
I mean, we've seen a lot of these now. I mean, the question, that's an obvious answer for me right now, but who do you trust more in these events, Xander Schauffele or Scotty Scheffler? And I mean, that's an easy one for me.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I would say none of the above. The pat in the hat, baby.
The hammer. We'll talk about the hammer as well. Second match out was Sam Burns and Tom Kim. This was not really a very good match. It went all the way to the end, but neither player had really played that well. They started, you could tell they both locked in at the very end. It got very good at those last several holes. They both hit great shots into 17 when it was an all-square match. They both made birdie there to keep it all square. And Burns had a great up and down on 18. Tom Kim had a good look at it to win that match, but missed it. So they tied, which made things 12.5 to 7.5. But not a lot of fireworks on that one. It did look like Sam Burns got the message not to give Tom Kim any putts at any point today. There wasn't a lot of gimmies given in this match, but not a whole lot of hysterics with this one. We were hoping for something to pop off here.
Yeah, well, I thought it was pretty strong golf. Like, I thought you guys were going to be slurping Tom Kim here for some of the shots he hit in there towards the end, like on 17. That was great. That was great theater. Both of them hitting it in there close. Like, Kim stuffs it and then Burns right on top of him there, makes the putt. Yeah. But yeah, and then, Kim really, really great putt on 15 there too. But overall, I thought Burns was way too generous on some of the putts. I thought he could have made him putt more of the shorties.
I think,
to be honest,
you got mad when he gave him like a 20-incher, I think, at one point. But.
Truly, like, I wouldn't give him literally anything. I thought Burns's up and down on 18 was really freaking good too.
It was. That was class.
Yeah.
He spun it out of like the semi-heavy rough, like not like heavy rough, but not the fringe either, and got hit kind of a low checking spinner over a ridge. It was a freakishly good shot. Burns played so fast in those like final moments. He was just very much like, give me the fucking ball, let's go. Kind of a contrast next to Tom Kim of how long he was taking
2.5 minutes
on some shots, and Burns just like, let's just go, give me the ball and let's go. And I respect that. Burns had we'll get into his week as a whole. He had a great record, really not great golf to match it, but did what needed to do.
Kind of the opposite of last time around.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It kind of leveled out for him for this President's Cup. So Russell Henley went out and beat Sungjae M 3-2. This did not go the way I was expecting it. I thought Sungjae was going to do it. I know Russ has had a big week, but kind of thought it would level off for him. This one finished next. This was not the third match, but this one finished, and then the U.S. was up 13.5 to 7.5 after this one. Russell played great. Sung Jae really didn't do much of anything. Henley had a really good day with the putter, gaining over 2.5 shots with the putter alone on this day. So
Yeah, Henley just wasn't out of a hole ever. Like it was just smooth pars, sprinkled 4 birdies in there, and Henley, like, he's the perfect guy to have on these teams. He's so malleable.
Ryder
It's
Cupper
just-
next year, you think he's on?
I would put him on in a heartbeat.
Like I hope so. Honestly, I hope he's playing well enough to nab a spot. Yeah.
And he seems pretty course agnostic too, right? Like he's not a bomber, but
yeah,
I don't know.
That's the only thing that worries
skill
me.
set is pretty versatile. So
yeah, I mean he's about 7 yards shorter than average. And Bethpage is going to be Bomber's paradise by all accounts. I would have to think that'd be literally the only, if his play tails off a little bit and he just kind of becomes a guy lingering around that 12th spot, that factor's not going to play in his benefit. But I thought he played very nice this week. Good compliment to Scotty Scheffler. But it's going to be a different question on a different golf course, right? So that's kind of the only question mark at this
the
point.
U.S. should nationalize they should naturalize Pendrith. Get him in there. He might be a fit on that golf course.
TC, I promise we're going to get to Pendrith. I promise.
As much as I'm wrong on Xander, I feel like Sung Jae is exactly who I think he is. One hole today against Russ Henley. I know we're going to get into individual grades, but I just want to say, like, Sung Jae, we 1-4 on the week. Like, you just gotta be better, my man. Like, if the international team's ever going to actually do anything, it's got to be guys like him.
Yeah, they just do not have a killer, man. They don't have a stopper. They don't have anyone that. An interesting thing to do would be if we drafted from these 24 players, drafted the 12 best players, how many internationals would get picked? Among this group, we can maybe do that on the back half, but it's an interesting little exercise. The next match to finish, Hideki Matsuyama beat Scotty Scheffler 1-up. He had a comeback in that one. Scotty had the early lead. Good match, back and forth in this one. I mean, there was some pretty good golf played. Scotty kind of just needed more out of him, especially in singles. Hideki was really kind of flailing coming into today, and Hideki ended up getting it done, but just felt like that was one Scotty, if he plays his normal round of golf, he would have taken care of this pretty easily, and he just did not do it. So
Hideki putted. I mean, I think he 3-putted a few times, but he both these guys made 13 birdies between the two of them in this match, and Hideki made some big putts and hit some big shots when it counted too. So some good lag putting coming in as well. But Hideki birdied 14, 15, 17 to really, I thought on the shot tracer on the 17th hole, I thought he hit that in the middle of the lake. It was almost in the hole.
He was leaning too, and it literally almost hit the flag stick. It was such a good shot.
This was real quick. This was a good match. I enjoyed watching this match. This was like an unequivocal good thing to come from this President's Cup. Just disappointed Scotty couldn't wiggle that birdie putt in on 18. I felt like this probably deserved to be an all-square match.
Scotty clearly not playing with his A game, clearly not playing with a full deck. It seemed like he had kind of shut it down a little bit coming in before this.
Which kind of 3 cups in a row on that, which we can talk about that on the back half of this, but very cat-like. Shout. I said this on Friday. He completed the Tiger season, winning 8 times, winning a major, and sucking in the team event. Relatively speaking, he went 3-2, but we kind of expect a little bit more out of him. Corey Connors had Tony Finau on the speed bag today. I think Tony had himself on the speed bag today, really more than anything else. But it was
Tony shot 75, 76.
It was a 5-3 win for Corey Connors. So that's back-to-back wins for the internationals that took it to 13.5 to 9.5.
Tone stinks. I'm good not seeing him on any of these teams ever again.
Well,
I know he will make them. I know that's not, but I'm good.
I'll own that one a little bit. I said I was very excited to see Tony back playing on one of these teams, and it didn't go well. So
it did not. It really did not. Patrick Cantlay beat Taylor Pendrith 3-1.
He did.
That made it 14.5 to 9.5 at that point. Pendrith hung with him for a fair amount of the day. I don't think it wasn't the cakewalk that I thought it would be. And Cantlay was nails, man. He was the second best golfer on the course today. That was an extremely tough draw. for Pendrith. I forget. Shane Ryan had that out there that one of his proposals for the President's Cup would be a human sacrifice. And DJ's reply to that was, I think that's what Taylor Pendrith is today, because that was a nightmare matchup. Cantlay bounced back from a tough start to this week and was absolutely nails after a tough start.
Yeah, Pendrith, we'll grade him later on. We'll get there. I was proud of him for hitting the green on the 17th hole, though.
It's a big moment.
That was immense. Still lost the match on that hole.
But. We have Keegan Bradley beat Siwoo Kim 1-up. Siwoo missed a short birdie putt at the last to clinch the President's Cup.
I think this is more Siwoo lost to Keegan 1 down instead of Keegan beat Siwoo 1-up.
Yeah, Keegan, I mean, he was 3-up, then he lost the 16th hole, lost the 17th hole, and it looked like that he was going to escape, or that Siwoo was going to make. I thought Siwoo was going to make that birdie putt, and it was going to escape with a half. I know our guy KVV was sweating that one out a little bit. I'll see if we can get a hold of Kevin, because when we do our Keegan kind of recap on things, I think he might have a couple things to say. But promise.
Does Kevin have insider info on that class trip to Montreal?
That was one of the top moments of the day. Keegan was putting to win the President's Cup on 17, and Dan Hicks said his first ever international trip was to Montreal. How crazy would it be if he closed out the President's Cup right here? I was like, yeah, I don't know if that would have been that crazy, but we had a very fun laugh about that one behind the scenes.
Which I think it's interesting too. Keegan, he lost his singles match to Rory in the 2012 Ryder Cup. He got boat raced by Jamie Donaldson
to lose the Ryder Cup.
To lose the Ryder Cup. So it just doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence in singles with how he tried to close that one out today too.
You're preaching to the choir with me here, TC, but we could talk about that. Wyndham Clark and Minwoo Lee tied their match. This made things 16-10. Minwoo Lee absolutely stuffed it in on the final hole and birdied the last to Wyndham Clark was 1-up, obviously, and then missed the green, could not chip it in, and then Minwoo Lee made birdie to tie the match.
Yeah, I thought the chef, he messed up the entree, burned the risotto, but he made a really nice dessert. And we left the restaurant with a pleasant taste in our mouths.
Do you ever have one of those meals where you're still hungry when dessert comes and you're like, I need this to satiate, right? I need this to fill me up. It's not even on top of anything. Like, give me something to finish my meal.
I watch Minwoo and I'm like, it's like, babe, can we stop at Taco Bell on the way home? Like, I'm still hungry. That just didn't do it for me.
He's doing the molecular gastronomy with all the nitrogen. DJ calls it the Richard Blaze shit.
He was sharing plates for Randy, which he absolutely despises.
It was like a 10-person tapas dinner. Like, nah, not gonna do it for me.
A couple of crudos in there.
Man, he was trying pretty unsuccessfully to not be pretty bitter about only having played 2 matches. Kept trying to save it with like, you got to trust the captain. But yeah, pretty bummed I didn't play more. But no, I had full faith here. But yeah, I wish I could have played more. But maybe next time I'll play more. But yeah, he also didn't play well. So you
could tell that the international guys were kind of like, fuck Weir, man. He didn't inspire a whole lot of confidence from the very beginning, and that carried through.
We have Sahith and Ben On ended up tying their match. Sahith had a good look at birdie to win the match. The cup had already been clinched. It was pretty lifeless out there at this point. Those two looked like they were having fun.
It was like a member guest.
It kind of was like third flight.
I was calling for mass concessions. Boys, let's just, we got a party tonight. Let's get it in the clubhouse, get the celebrations underway.
These Wikipedia pages don't matter that much, guys. But
no.
They had a good moment. They had a good moment. Ben On made a putt on one of the holes and kind of jokingly laid down his broomstick putter as if, why didn't you give me that one? I thought it was like, I was kind of half paying attention. I was like, oh shit, are we going to have some of the dumbest drama ever? The cup's already over. But he and Sahith were laughing about that one. So Morikawa out 10th. I'm not even sure I really understood why. I guess he was the stopper and thinks in case things got ugly back there, or maybe they were playing a little cat and mouse game with where to put him and Adam Scott in there. But Morikawa capped off an excellent President's Cup as well, beat Adam Scott 2-1. Adam was not excellent on this day, and who knows if that's the last time he plays in a
man.
but
He's fucking exhausted.
What was the stat? He's played 54 of the possible 55 sessions in his President's Cup career. God, that's like Barbaro, man. They didn't even need to put him down.
Big moment in the second to last match. Christian Bezuidenhout beat Brian Harmon 2-1, 17.5, 11.5 at that point. Bezuidenhout, the only international player to have a winning record. We'll get to that.
2 points.
Shout out our guy Patty. Shout out our guy Patty. He knew it all along.
Max Homa finished off a really good week for him. He beat Mackenzie Hughes 2-1, and that was it. 18.5, 11.5. Your final, guys. We can't really pretend like today was excellent. There's a couple good internal matches, a couple good things to follow as we went along, and we learned a couple things about some guys, but not really. It almost seemed like things bubbled up and burst a little bit last night. Tom Kim kind of, with his comments at the presser last night, I think muted everybody today. Like, all right, let's not. Nobody else here piss anybody off here. No one on the U.S. side did anything dumb, and Tom Kim
except for Wyndham. Wyndham was
got
in the
involved
comments.
in the comments. Yeah, he got in the comment section on golf.com to clap back at Ben On, who clapped at him on Twitter. Deleted his tweet and all that. It was all very President's Cuppy. It's the best way to describe that.
Which, today didn't even have to happen, Randy, right? If they didn't call in the
exactly, if they didn't call
plays
on Friday. I know. Yeah, suspiciously 3 of the 4 days, the U.S. team 18.5, 6.5, and then somehow that Friday morning foursomes just happened to go 5-0 international. Makes you think, TC.
Listen, we're going to get into the grades and all that stuff, but I got to interrupt the programming first. You guys let me talk about my speed gains last night, which I greatly appreciate. And I'm going to talk about them again. I've been permitted to talk even more about it. We talked about some of the speed and specific distance gains we've had. I'm up 6 miles an hour on average, touching 174 miles an hour, all that. I'm hitting 9 irons and less into par 4s. TC got to witness it firsthand. Listen, a big part of that puzzle, the new GT3 driver. All right. We are launching it high. It is not spinning. It's in a much better window. It's extremely consistent across the face. I've been preaching for years about how this generation, all we want to do is wail on the ball. And I've not been doing it until now. And I'm experiencing the full benefits of the GT. A couple balls that we hit last week on Tuesday, TC. You were wowing at him. And I was like, no, I missed that one, man. I missed it. It was flying that good. It was flying that high. It's a fantastic driver. The GT drivers are exceptionally fast, both on and off center hits with extremely consistent spin rates and ball speeds across the face. It frees you up to wail on it. These improvements with GT plus being properly fit, swing it faster with more confidence. Titleist is the most played driver on the PGA Tour, and it has been for what is now 6 straight seasons. Head to Titleist.com to learn more about GT and schedule a fitting near you.
From what it sounds like, Randy's got the ball coming out of a different window.
I've heard about that too.
Yeah, things. Yeah, I know.
Because
one played in a while though, guys. I'm looking to ramp up my fall golf here the next couple weeks.
Let's get after it. Now that these live shows are behind us, it's time to get out in the golf course a little bit.
Update on my end. We won our. We were 4 up through 4, giving 2 shots away on the first 4 holes in Party Doctor and I's alt shot match.
On Friday.
Week. Yeah. Okay. So we are headed to the round of 8, which I'll keep you guys posted.
Please.
Thank you.
Please.
Congrats, you want to do grades now? We're going to go player by player?
Yes.
Okay. On the American side, we're going to go through this in order of how they went off today in Sunday singles. I'm going to give you their records for the week, their strokes gained for the week, and where that strokes gained ranked out of the 24 players that played in this event. Xander Schauffele went 4-1 plus 8.89 shots. That is first overall. What is our grade for Xander?
I'm giving him an A.
I can't give him an A because he got his ass kicked in foursomes, but I'll give him a B plus.
A minus. A minus.
We're going to settle on A minus there because I was also A, and we're going to have that grade represent. You can't.
They got dog license. It's just unbecoming.
But that you said yourself, they threw that.
That's true. Well,
that would take him to an A plus for how well he sold that. I think.
Well, he may have oversold it. Honestly, like, come on, man.
Wasn't
You're plus-
believable enough.
Yeah, you're plus 9 strokes gain, and your partner was like one of the best. We'll get to Cantley too. Come on, starting to get a little fishy in here.
Sam Burns went 3-0-1, but he was -2 strokes gained. That was 15th overall. I'm going to give Burns a solid B. I mean, I feel like he did his role. You kind of, I'm going to talk a little bit out of my ass on some of these of like, record doesn't matter here. Only your play matters here. But like, I don't know. He kind of did his job, was reliable somewhat. Didn't play great, but as a secondary player on a lot of those team matches, like I felt like he played that role pretty well. So I'm going to give him a B.
I would say with Burns, you've got, went out and won with Cantlay, sat in the afternoon on Friday, and then I thought afternoon foursomes on Saturday, him and Morikawa getting it done against Connors and Hughes. And that was a big point. I think that kind of took the wind out of the sails of the internationals a little bit, especially with everything that was going on with Siwoo and Tom Kim up ahead. So, or right behind him. So I'll give Burns a B as well, just because it feels a little bit paper tigery.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys have said it well. I don't disagree. I'll land right there at a B with you.
And it's not his native grass. We got to give him that too.
And it's not.
So, and going back to Xander, I do think he dragged Big Tone to a win on Thursday. There's some built-in goodwill there as well. Randy.
And then, so next up is Scotty Scheffler. He went 3-2. He was plus 1.4 in strokes gained, which was 10th best player overall in this week's event. Randy, what's your grade for Scotty?
Well, this is where it's like, I guess we have to grade Scotty on a Scotty curve, right? I mean,
yes,
C+ for him, but I would say B+ for anybody else, really.
That's exactly where I'm at. I'm at C+.
I'm totally aligned with you guys. I thought, won both his matches on Saturday, but just kind of allowed, allowed Siwoo and Ben On to hang around there on Friday, and just not as great, just not his best golf, and it's not an automatic thing. Like you should be able to set him out, and he gets you 3.5, 4 points.
Yep. He got him 3. I mean, 3-2 record is nice, but the path to getting there was not his best golf. I'm grading his golf on this one, and they just need him. It's also kind of a forward-looking thing of like, we're going to need you to be better at Bethpage if the U.S. is gonna win that one. So next up, Russ Henley went 3-1, plus 5 strokes gained, 5th overall, A- for me.
Yeah, I mean, God, versus expectations, it's almost an A for me, but I'll land at A- with you. I just thought he came in, he filled a role, he got 3 points out of 4 matches. Like that's just a really good, solid job. Arthur agrees with me. He says A for Russ Henley.
Arthur's still pissed that you were talking about putting the President's Cup down like a dog.
Yeah, he's a little nervous. Yeah, he's a little nervous.
What do you got, TC?
Same thing. I'll go A-.
Okay.
This is a Russ Henley pro household.
Patrick Cantlay, I can make this one easy. 4-1 plus 8.87. I am a second overall player in the entire event. I'm going A for Patrick Cantlay.
You know what, guys? I'm going A+ for Patrick Cantlay. I thought Patrick Cantlay down the stretch on Saturday evening was an absolute champion, and he's going to go, he's going to go renegotiate those leases and get that 6 or 7% increase this week, heading into 2025.
Honestly, same thing I said about Xander. I listen, if they were trying to take a dive, it's an A+. If they weren't trying to take a dive, it's a B+.
Next up, Keegan Bradley. He went 2-1 plus 4.8 strokes gained, 6th best overall. I am giving Keegan an A-.
Really?
I mean,
Keegan took this pass fail. Keegan passed. That's all
Okay.
I'm giving him.
Okay. I like
I'll
that.
be a bit more generous. Listen, I like the Keegan Bradley story. I think he probably got to learn some things here on the job before next year. I'll call it a very successful week, B+.
Who did he? I mean, he carried around the blow pig on Saturday 4 balls. Like that match could have gone a totally different direction. Well, it did. I mean, they lost, but like he played really good golf. Like it could have been a dog license situation. So he had some good moments. Didn't really put the foot down in that match. It could have easily kind of been a 1-1 in 1 week, but he played good golf.
This is a canine friendly. This is a very canine show, canine centric. We got the U.S. talking about dog mentality all week. Sirianni's probably gonna get fired tomorrow.
The only thing,
of dog stuff.
The only thing, I don't know what Kevin would have to say about this. The only thing that would be silly would be to like take a huge victory lap about this, like in the President's Cup, as it relates to 2023. But I think
putting a case on all you bitches. After 10 years, you were finally not able to keep my guy off of U.S. team. And look what happened. A-. F you with your A-. All right? We can finally unpack that suitcase from all those years ago.
Is he really going to unpack the suitcase?
He wouldn't be a part of the farce that was the laydown, all right? He took himself out of the lineup.
That's true.
Not to even be involved in that.
Well, they had to that. Yeah, if you don't think that was planned, listen, you got to keep your Ryder Cup captain out of there. You got to give him plausible deniability.
Look, I've had about 13 high noons since that went down. Victory cigar here. I'm living my best life right now. Okay. My guy finally showed all you bitches what's up. Your data can't keep him off anymore, Solly. All your manipulations. He was the 4th best US player when it came to data golf. All right. Data golf was tagging me in tweets just to be able to dunk on you this week. That's
only
how
played
fucking
3
definitive
matches.
it was.
It was
My
a small
guy is
sample
going to
size.
kick ass at Bethpage. He's not taking this. Listen, he gave a little bit of a nod to Jim's BS or whatever. Oh, Jim taught us the way. No, that's like when you give a nod to the outgoing president. But like, we really appreciate you, but we got it from here. All right. This was a definitive performance. He dragged Wyndham around. It's excellent. You guys are disparaging him for not closing the deal. He beat the International's best player just because you finally started paying attention the last 2 holes when he sort of laid down to make it, interesting. That gives Siwa a little pat on the back. Disgusting behavior by all of you.
NBC was asking him to stretch it.
Yeah, stretch it out. Let my family watch a little bit more of me on TV. No, this was an excellent performance from my guy. Look forward to years of captaining to come.
Kevin, can you tell us anything about this school trip, this class trip up to Montreal?
TC, I'm still digging for information on that. Rumors is maybe the first time, he touched a boob. Who knows? Seeing naked ladies are there in Montreal. A lot of strip clubs in Montreal. You can never be sure about what young high school kids are going to get away with. The home game model Montreal starts now that we know that Montreal is the home game for him. Think about what kind of the home game Bethpage is. As long as he was able to sneak his way out. I don't know what's going on with the New York State park system there. Are they just letting anybody
he might be in cahoots with Adams.
We're going to have to get to the bottom of that. But I'm sure he played Bethpage numerous times against the rules or with the rules. Who knows? That's all I got, guys. I'm going to go ahead. Unless you have any other questions you'd like to ask. Maybe you'd like to talk about what other Airbnb roommate Zach Johnson would like to squeeze onto the team instead of Keegan Bradley next time.
Are you going to ride this all the way to Beth? I guess do you want him on the team in Bethpage playing captain?
Well, I'm not ruling anything out just yet. We'll have to see whether he's allowed to unpack his suitcase or not. If he's a winning captain or if it's just the playing thing. I mean, Jack Nicklaus was a playing captain back in the day. Arnold Palmer back in the day. I think Keegan Bradley best represents their mystique in terms of American golf. Cares about these team events. Doesn't land like Danny. You're giving Scotty such a pass for that should have been a tie match for Dean Hideki and Scotty. Come on, and then you're dragging Keegan for actually winning his match. Disgusting behavior.
Hey, Kevin. Last question, I guess. Do you think that he was kind of effusive towards Jim there a little bit? Do you think that he learned anything from Jim, or is he just going to go do his own thing?
I think he probably learned that the blow pig not a guy he wants on his squad. I think learned look, he learned how to just be a gentleman, TC. How to make sure that you respect your opponent, but ultimately step on their throat.
Honestly, I mean, we can do this now a little bit. Like Furyk had some comments that I thought were interesting of like a lesson learned that he had was just being on offense with his picks, like being 45 minutes ahead. And I think he kind of got caught with his pants down at times in Paris and panicked a little bit. Like lessons to learn like that kind of information getting passed down to the next captain. I'm interested in like
Process.
yeah, some
Being
process
half a day ahead is what he said, right?
Not all process stuff do I want to go exactly that way. I don't want Keegan to print off the points list and make the phone calls in that order, but that was interesting at least. And I think like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to we're going to grade Furyk at the end of this, but it's hard to give him a too tough of a grade when you just go whoop ass like that on the road. And I know it's an event they dominate, but that's like I have a lot of mea culpas to give later on, but I'll give a semi one on the Furyk front.
So I think process and philosophy are different, right? And I think process wise, it's like, all right, like you nailed the timeline. Hey, here's the timeline that stuff has to happen on, kind of the flow chart, right?
Yeah, I think
you definitely don't want to be caught with your pants down in Montreal, as you can learn on your class trip when you're there.
Get out of here.
Kevin, fire that thing up. Come on, fire that thing up.
Get ready.
I don't want to set off the smoke alarms in my house, Randy. I thought about that, but figure there's kids out there watching. They've already been, stained enough. Future Keegans out there. Can't have it.
Go get ready for the Ravens tonight. You're out of here. That was an all-time appearance. Thank you very much, Kevin. Congratulations to your guy, Keegan. Incredible stuff. Incredible President's Cup victory lap. All right, Big Tone Fee now. 2-2. That's the good news, guys. Negative 8.1 shots. Second worst player in the entire President's Cup.
Stinks.
I'm giving him a D.
Yeah. D feels right.
Okay. D and D plus, I think we can do that. He wasn't terrible at the very beginning. That opening session, I feel like he played. I'll check the stats on that. Yeah, he wasn't terrible, but not good. That was not what we were hoping for out of the big guy. This would be an interesting one. The blow pig, Wyndham Clark, 1-2-1, negative 0.56 shots, 12th. He was dead right in the middle of this entire field. What do we
I
give
think
him?
we're overrating the strokes gained metrics a little bit here, just because I feel like in match play things ebb and flow, but you're not necessarily going for pins, or you're not necessarily like if your partner,
there's a little noise in
playing
that.
partners in trouble, right? So I think there's more than a little noise in it.
There's a little, like if you did what Cantlay and Xander did, there's no noise in that. Like you gain those shots.
Big sample size. Yeah.
There are times like when if in 4-ball, if you're out of it, it paints a picture. It's not like definitive, like you print off that list and that's the order of which these guys were the best in. But like your eyes are going to trick you into like whatever shots are televised is what you're going to go towards. Like, oh yeah, he played great, but like it is an add up of every shot you hit and kind of how you gained on the whole and how you gained against the people you played against. But I hear your comment there, TC.
Yeah, I think for my enduring memory of Wyndham, aside from him just being corny and talking shit with the night stuff when he wasn't playing in the match, I thought stunk in the PGA Tour's highlight package, which props to them for putting that up last night. That was good content. It was him blowing it way right on 18 today. That ball would have been in the middle of the fairway at Los Angeles Country Club. And it was the vintage Wyndham of like, you need a certain shot and you're incapable of hitting that shot on 18. And it's McGinley or Faxon even said at the end, they're like, yeah, his shot shape, it's more of a slice than a cut. So
I had no problem with the night thing at all. Like Siwoo ran around on the greens doing it prematurely. They lost the match. They've been going fucking crazy all day. I had no problem with that at all. Like, again, I know you just don't do that if you're American, but I had no problem with that at all. I was surprised by the reaction to that.
Wyndham continues not to I'm not as bothered by him as certainly TC is. So I can't work myself up into a lather here. It's a solid, I mean, we'll call it what, a C minus maybe, like just totally average for me.
I give him a C. That's right.
It just seems like he's imitating like what someone in this instance is supposed to do versus leaning into it. I don't know.
I think that should not anger you.
Grading is subjective.
Yes, it does, but that's your own journey that you're on there, TC. Sahith, 1-1-1, -3 strokes gained, 18th amongst the 24 players.
I would say I will give, this is like a prospect rating. It's like baseball, right? Where, he's got plus tools. Listen, I'm going to give him like a D+ for the week. I thought he stunk. He was clearly nervous and all of that. He's clearly not ready for the show yet, but he's still in our system, and he's a promising prospect.
We think he'll be better
is-
for this
yeah.
experience.
Yeah, it's
You're-
September call
yeah.
up.
This is what
Yeah.
the President's Cup should be for on the United States side. Like, get 4 or 5 of these guys involved,
Yeah.
and test them out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad they did this. I'm glad he was on the team. I'm glad we kind of have a little bit more of an answer when it comes to that. And you know, I don't think there's gonna be people screaming for him to be involved in the Ryder Cup if he isn't, which I think is just like shitty for team morale in general. But if he's, I'm not saying don't take him to Bethpage. If he continues to progress and improve as a player like he has, I would still have no problem going back to him. But this first go around did not go great. But there's nothing to say you can't learn from that, and it can improve. So I'm on D+ for Sahith as well. This was not by far far from his best golf, but he's had an incredible season, and I'd be remiss to write him off this quickly.
Yeah, he's got to go learn how to hit a curve.
Yeah, that we need better plate discipline. You're exactly right, TC. We just got to learn to be a big leaguer a bit. Solly, I'm there with, if I'm giving Wyndham a C-, I got to give Sahith probably a D+. Same amount of points, but didn't hit the ball as well.
Yep. Morikawa 4-1 plus 2.5 strokes gained. I am going B+ for Morikawa.
I'll join you on that block, Sally. I thought Morikawa was rock solid with the exception of obviously the Friday laydown.
Sure.
But yeah, and really closed the door today. That was kind of a no doubter all day today, and that was exactly why he was in that spot, I think.
Yeah, I'll join you. Guys, I like Colin. I know I've quit him. I've bought him. I've quit him. I forget even where I stand at this point, but I like Colin. I'm back in.
Sold low and bought high every single time, Randy.
Yeah, I think I am bullish on Colin for 2025.
I like watching him play golf.
The putter looks a lot better.
He's improved. He's just improved a ton on a lot of different aspects of his game. Like his stat page just looks a lot prettier, and he doesn't hit it far, but man, he's that accurate. Like he really is incredibly accurate with the driver. Brian Harman 0-3, -8.5 shots, 24th out of 24. Somebody's got to fail.
I've given him an F. Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, we got grade inflation going on.
Yeah,
I did appreciate him showing up looking like Matt Damon and still in the what was that? Stillwater. Yeah. I'm good though. Although I would have loved to have seen him like punch Trudeau or something like that there at the end. Guy sucks.
Randy.
I mean, how do I follow that? Yeah, listen, 0-3, and he was the worst statistically. It's got to be an F.
Yeah. Maximus Homa. This should be interesting. 1-2, but plus 5.93, third overall, third best player in the entire event.
Guys, I'm gonna say Max Homa, he was just auditing this class. He was not taking it for a grade. And I think it's an incomplete for him with being saddled with Harman both matches. And I just don't understand why Harman was on his team. I mean, I get that Furyk he's old school, and Harman won the Open Championship last year. And he just went straight down the points list, but it didn't seem like an ingredient that was supposed to be in this recipe.
I think that's fair. I think Max, when you
and just to be for listeners' sake, we said that at the time when the picks were made. This is not second guessing. This was a first guess of like, well, man, like, well, what is that one? That one kind of really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially with JT sitting at home. That just does not make sense to me. Like, do I think Ricky should have been on the team over him? No. Do I think some of the dudes that have not succeeded in team events should have been in there over him? No. But that's 2 events for Harman. I think I'm good on that front. I like the guy a lot. I root for him. He's I respect his career a lot, but this is not where the future is.
Exactly.
I was just gonna say I'm very happy Max struck the golf ball really well this week. I that was a big thing coming in. He split with his coach. It was a big question mark, and to see him play some good golf on his ball. I mean, grade wise, I guess I'll give him a C+.
Whoa. C+ for Max?
Yeah. What did you guys give him?
I'm going to give him an A-.
He was auditing the class just
for
the purposes of Ryder Cup next year.
I know at the end of the day, you're only getting 1 point. It's not his fault that he sat 2 of the sessions, but I mean, 1 point's 1 point. I think C+.
I just think they're like Akshay, Zalatoris, like somebody that is going to be on a future U.S. team. That like bringing them in that Harmon spot is perfect, and Max would have like fed off the energy of one of those other guys as well. So yeah, Max for me, it's an incomplete grade, but that's not a fault of Max. He played well today.
I know they had to turn in their group project together, but I would have pulled like Max aside on that one and been like, I can't. You're with a troubled youth. This guy, and he's not even a troubled youth anymore. This guy's been held back from this grade twice. He's older than you. He's not giving you his best effort. Like I recognize the effort you've put forth here, and I'm going to recognize this in your grade because this whole week is in your handwriting. This whole project's in your handwriting. Okay, I don't even know if that other guy was even there for you, and that's just unfair. So.
Guys, I truly don't understand how Cantley and Schauffele lost 7-6.
I know.
It's crazy.
That's what they want you to. That's what they want. TC.
Like I can see Homa and Harmon losing. I can see Tagala and Morikawa getting blown out. I can see Blowpig and Finau getting blown out, but I can't see that first one. That's crazy.
On the international side, Jason Day, 1 and 2. Negative 1.15 shots, 14th overall. I would say B-.
Wow, that's generous.
Really?
C+. You can talk me into C+. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't great.
I mean, he wasn't there on the biggest day, which we can talk about Weir here at the end. But like, man, that just and then lays an
put
egg
up a
today.
Fight today. Yeah,
that's tough. Like if they were going to come back today, he had to win his match, and he goes out and gets boat raced.
I'm going to Xander.
Okay, that's fine. That's why we're all listen. That's why we're asking for individual opinions here. Okay.
Went out first on Thursday, lost. So, okay. And it was kind of the weak link on Friday in the foursomes match too.
Okay.
So
I thought he played all right. Nothing crazy in that. I think a C+ is fine. Tom Kim 1, 2, and 1. He gained 2 shots. He was 9th best player overall.
I'll give him a C+. Same thing. It's I said it all last night. I don't need to harp on it. I don't feel any differently than I did last night. I thought the presser was extremely poor taste and extremely shitty from him. Pace of play. One day I hope to hate something as much as Faxon hates aim point from close distance. Tom Kim was, marking up those greens and
what part was I've said all I need to say and then just following it with 18 more things you're going to say? Wait.
I just can't do Tom Kim, man. It's just, it's so performative. I can't stand it. And I think the world is starting to feel that way as well.
I had B- for the golf, B for all the energy and antics he brought to it, but then back to B- with the presser yesterday. So I net out at B-. I appreciate the efforts he made to make this event more entertaining. That did factor into my grade, but I'm going B- overall.
I'm landing C+. I appreciate the effort. Somebody's got to bring some type of energy to this event. I think it's misplaced sometimes. He played okay golf, 1.5, whatever. C+.
Okay. Hideki 2 and 3, minus 3.7 shots, 19th best overall. C- for me for Hideki.
I think Hideki is one of those students. He was failing at midterm, like he failed his midterm, and then he came in and crushed the final. Just a total turnaround from him. Started coming into office hours, worked on his putting a little bit, and I'll give Hideki a C+, same as Tom Kim.
So this is where I got to be a
won
little
all 5 sessions too.
It's a little bit of the Scotty curve with me. Where listen, if Hideki's a top 10 player, he's got to be a dude on this team, and he's just not a dude. And so for me, that's a C-.
Okay.
One more thing on Tom Kim. Too. He wasn't out there on Friday in their most successful 5-0 session. He wasn't out there.
He was a good cheerleader.
But he was the mascot, TC, him and Min Woo.
Which he didn't get any rest because he's out there hooting and hollering. It's just all it just feels like I don't know. I'm good. Take it all away. Take it all away.
One more thing though on Tom Kim. Sung Jae was 1 and 4, but was plus 0.44 overall, 11th. in the golf. I got to go C-. I mean, I know the numbers are saying he played some decent golf, but like, again, you just got to go out and win some fucking matches, man. You can't lose 4 times. And again, you're supposed to be one of the dudes. That might be generous. C-.
Yeah, I'm with you. It feels very similar, like parallel to his career.
Yeah.
And I think a very strange moment was him just tugging that drive left in the water coming down the stretch. Was that on Saturday? And yeah, I don't know. It was just can't have it. I'm going D.
Can't win with it. Yeah, deep. I'll split the middle. D plus. I just that some of it's based on what I expect of him, and maybe that's on me. Maybe I shouldn't expect that anymore.
This should be fun. Taylor Pendrith was 2-3, -4 shots, 20th overall. D for me.
Randy?
Listen, I'm not going to bury the guy. D plus, I guess. Just I wasn't expecting much out of him, and he kind of hit that benchmark for me.
I think. Listen, it's not his fault he played all 5 matches.
Agreed.
But I'm still going to hold it against him because he was a captain's pick, and he's just. You look at the stuff that this guy is doing schedule wise and where he's succeeding. He won the CJ Cup Byron Nelson earlier this year. He finished 5th at the 3M Open and T5 at the Barracuda. He's just feeding on like mule events, bottom feeding off mule events on mostly bad golf courses too. Granted, he played all right at the US Open. But I just like watching him play this week. It was offensive. His swing, he's a ball speed imposter, and him missing the 17th green both those times on Saturday. It was, I thought I was in the twilight zone watching that. It was crazy. Like the guy couldn't find the green with a fucking wedge in his hand. And then, and just couldn't chip, couldn't really putt. It was bad. He had one good session. He played really well first session, made a bunch of birdies in that first 4-ball session. And then otherwise, like, I think he took more energy out of Adam Scott than playing all 5 matches did out of Adam Scott.
The question, sir, was what was your handwriting?
It is criminal he played all 5 sessions.
It makes no
That's
sense.
insane.
I cannot fucking
insane.
believe how much golf I watched from Taylor Pendrith this week. Like that is it's so, this event is so weird how you just end up in all these spots where like it all comes down to Christian Bezuidenhout now. And now over to Taylor Pendrith. It all rides on him now. It's like, what is this event?
And he went 0-4 at Quail Hollow too, right, on a course that like should have fit his game. It's just like, dude, like you've spit the bit. You don't get another chance at this thing. Not good.
2-7
Stand down
in these 2 team events. So did you have a grade for him, Randy?
I think I was right there, like D plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Siwoo Kim, 2-2, but 6 shots above average. 4th best player in the field this week. What are we giving Siwoo?
I'm giving Siwoo an A-.
I was going to go B+. Good,
I think
really good spurts, like unable to really sustain them a lot of the time, and really good, yin and yang and good team golf with Tom Kim in there, which, they got the most out of Siwoo's run that they probably could have, I think, but didn't really sustain it all the way through the finish line.
Yeah, Siwoo's just not. He's like, you're not going to get that much more than that out of him, right? He's not a consistent player week to week on tour. He's exceptionally talented, exceptionally confident. But man, yeah, it just didn't, like, Siwoo gave you what you needed from him. You just needed a lot more from everybody else.
You just needed more than Siwoo. You needed more players, right? Like he played his role really, really well. I have no real bones to pick with him.
Yeah. God, I can't get over Pendrith, man. Like I'm so angry that like he was on the team, and he's just, I think that's where like the data can lie a little bit too, of like situational golf and being able, like, he's not a golfer. He doesn't know when to hit the right shot at the right time. And like, I have no problem with Corey Connors being on the team. Corey Connors, his floor is so much higher. Like he plays consistent golf week to week, whereas Taylor Pendrith, like he's the quintessential modern pro golfer where he'll get 3 top 5s in a season and then miss a shitload of cuts. And his floor is just wildly, wildly low. And that's just not what you need if you're an international team. So sorry. Again,
No, I love it. No, I love the passion. Siwoo's a B for me. You guys said it well. I thought it was a good week for him. The international team just needs a lot more of that.
Corey Connors was 2-3, but gained 3 shots, 7th best overall. I'm giving a solid B to Corey Connors. I thought he played pretty well.
I'll join you there, Sally. I thought he recovered nicely from Quail Hollow. He was another 0-4 at Quail Hollow. Failed a couple times when they needed him. I thought him and Mackenzie going out Saturday afternoon, they needed that one. But overall, I think, similar to Siwoo, like they got what they came for out of Corey. He wasn't the issue.
My only nit to pick with Corey is, I mean, he did hit the ball well. So, but that match day against Finau, like anybody's beaten Finau. I don't put as much stock in that second point for him. So I guess for that, he's more of a C+ for me. Good strokes gain numbers, but not 2 and 3, and one of those points was like anybody on the team could have had that.
That's fair. Chef Min Woo, 0-1-1, -6 shots, 22nd overall. I am giving him a D-.
Yeah,
literally having the match is the only reason I'm giving him the above an F, because that ain't it. Could not be relied upon. Had to get benched for 2 days. Tough scene for Min Woo.
I'm giving him a failing grade on his health inspection.
Shut the restaurant down.
I was tempted to give him an F, but I'll give him a D-. I don't want to flunk him just because if this President's Cup goes on like this, like he's a guy that's gonna have to be a part of this team, I feel like. And so at least he got some experience. He eked out a half a point. He didn't get blanked. So D- for me.
Ben On, 1-1-1, -2 shots, 16th overall. C for me. I got no real expectations, just right in the middle of the road for what I think the models would say for Ben.
Yeah. C-.
Yeah, I think it's an incomplete for me of, him not being able to go out and play on Saturday. I don't know what that's about. I would put him in the top half of the international team players as far as talent level. And
who would you have sat, TC?
I mean, I have no idea, Sally. I have no idea, right?
I'm like, oh my God, are we
please don't.
Yeah, and then I appreciated him chirping Wyndham last night as well.
Does that help his grade?
Yeah, that's a little boost. That's a little extra credit.
Adam Scott, 2 and 3, kind of middle of the road, lost 1 shot, 13th. C, just kind of defines his whole President's Cup career for me, of technically there, just not really there.
I'll give him a B-. He's the oldest player on the team by far. He's a stalwart. You're sending him out first. You're sending him out against some of the toughest players. He went out first against Xander, or sorry, didn't go out first against Xander. Went out against Morikawa, and I think he kind of intimated it in his interview yesterday. Like, I'm fucking wiped. Again, he shouldn't be playing 5 times.
Yeah.
I almost feel bad for Adam. 0-11. Like, imagine participating in 11 of these and not getting to feel victory one time. Like, bits aside, like that sucks. So I
10-1 to be. He was.
He was part of the tie. Sorry. Yeah. 10-1. Yeah. If you're looking for a grade, Solly, I think C. I'm right there with you.
Last 2, Christian Bezadenhout, 2-1, -6 shots. I'll give him a C. Only winning record on the international side, even if he played terrible, did his job. and managed to roll over Brian Harmon. That's a very kind grade, but I'll give him a C.
Harmon.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give Bez a B plus.
that's ridiculous. That's,
You know,
that's
it's not
so
he had a
stupid.
bad partner. He got saddled with Pendrith on day one,
That's so
and
stupid.
then he won his other 2 matches, and that's all I can judge him on.
Pendrith beat him by 5 shots on that Thursday. The bad partner you were giving him.
Again,
I also would just say
ridiculous.
we just got done talking about Adam Scott. He played with Pendrith 3 times.
Exactly. That's why
Pendrith was better than
there's
him.
no bonus points given
Oh.
here, but Bez is getting an uplift because of it.
Listen, if you're asking for life's not fair, Cody. There's no consistency in some of these grades. Okay. Last one, Mackenzie Hughes, 1 and 3, -2 shots, 17th overall. C-, I think, for Mackenzie.
I'm giving Mackenzie Hughes a D-, just because I think you got to justify that captain's pick, man. I think Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin or Cam Davis should have been on that team. We'll get into the weird stuff in a bit, but this one screamed daddy ball, homer. The stats didn't back it up. This was, and I think Hadwin and or Taylor would have been an absolute bulldog out there.
Just for proper context, Taylor sucked coming into this. Like he's been awful on the back half of this year. Like that just feels, that one just, I've seen that thrown around too much this week, and that just felt a little convenient. He did not have a good 2024. I'm pushing back on that part. I just don't think there was anything there with Nick Taylor that they were especially missing out. Especially his putter has been awful since like May. Like he is just hemorrhaging shots all over the greens.
Yeah.
So
listen, that's fine if like
that's where like the internationals just don't have the horses, man. Like they don't. It's hard.
That's where it's like Cam Davis. Like you left the guy off that's 7th or 8th on the point standings. That I don't know. Cam Davis is a
that one
a
I can get
player.
a little.
Hadwin
bit
I can get behind too. And Mackenzie played well out of Napa. Played well at the Open. Good putter, but I don't know. I just think tee to green, he's just not there. And I don't know.
Yep.
If you're gonna pick a Canadian, I would have picked Nick Taylor.
Okay. That's fine.
Shouldn't have picked the Canadian though. Shouldn't have been Weir as captain.
Let's do that. What's Mike Weir get as captain?
I think he gets a fucking F.
Wow.
And I think I just don't think they should be going with these home country captains. It puts them in a conflict of interest, in a very conflicted spot, and it was just not an inspiring performance start to finish. And this is why I paused my membership. I'm glad I did it, and I look forward to being back for Medina.
I agree with TC, and I'm not like I think I'm coming at it more like objectively. I don't know what Mike Weir did to
get anything.
Yeah, what did he do that like put his team in a better spot? What did he do to like win a point, 2 points on the margins? He was a Canadian, and so I guess he was the captain. That's it. I was very unimpressed.
I was going to give him a D, and I don't really know why, other than like because I feel like he doesn't have talent. Like he doesn't have the talent to choose from. I didn't think I would have rather had Cam Davis on this team if I was him, but I just don't think that would have made a big difference to it. But I agree. I don't see where he extracted any value out of this team, and it's a clear step back from what Trevor Immelman did at Quail Hollow in terms of what he got out of that team that was equally undermanned and outgunned, and that team fought like hell and made it very interesting at the end. Despite a terrible start to it, like you could see the value that came from that captaincy and that leadership on the road, and at home to get like this trounced this bad is a really, really tough look. So
it's not just the fact that he chose the Canadian guys, which that's fine. It's the fact that he started those guys every single session except for one. Yeah. Like Mackenzie Hughes was the only of the 3 Canadian guys that sat even a single session. And this is after Taylor Pendrith went 0-4 at Quail Hollow, and clearly and the fact that he had his mind made up on Saturday afternoon pairings, which I didn't even have a problem with the Saturday afternoon pairings. It was the Saturday morning pairings that didn't make any sense.
And Hughes sat Thursday, right? So like you're down 5-0, and then you're gonna play Hughes every session after that, along with the it wasn't good.
Does Trevor take back over? You think?
It legitimately makes me question, like, is the goal to sell tickets or is the goal to win? Like, I think that's a valid question coming out of this
100%.
week.
Do not pull on that thread too much, Randy, because you're going to lead you to a really sad spot. I don't think there's any question that is this whole thing is just one big corporate event, right? I mean, there'd be so many better ways to make it more entertaining and more competitive that like people look at us like we're crazy when we suggest something like that.
Well,
Like,
that's the thing. Like with Weir, like he not only did he lose and he lost predictably, he also lost in like just really joyless, unexciting fashion. Like Mike Weir didn't add anything to this event, and you know, I really, really struggle with like, and it's the same thing with the tour choosing this as a venue. Why are we back at Royal Montreal a second time?
Shame on me, TC. I really thought they knew something that I didn't in terms of like atmosphere, but I'm sure it has corporate reasons and money reasons tied to it. Because like, it's just like very much like that meme of the two scary looking dragons with the clownish looking one. Like that's that one in between Kingston Heath and Royal Montreal. It's just, or I'm sorry, and Royal Melbourne. That is just, gosh, that was such a freaking letdown of, again, like you're going off at noon on a Sunday up against Red Zone on a commercial fest on a dull golf course in a not close competition. Like, God, you are begging people to do something else, like absolutely begging. And I love this format in terms of like, I love team match play stuff. Like there's a reason why we do a ton of live shows around this. Like it's interesting, but they like literally past that, almost nothing is gotten right with this particular iteration of this event in terms of interest drawn and like, no, again, I'm going to just do my coverage rant now. Like literal infomercial on NBC rolling into this, like an actual annuity infomercial.
And they just go straight to the first tee.
2 minute 12:02 was the first tee time from 12 o'clock. There wasn't even like Golf Channel didn't even have a pregame show on all of this. Like name a big sporting event. Like you're signaling to us, this is not a big sporting event. Like don't get mad at us when we say that it's not. Like you're not delivering on this. Like it's just a lot of big questions about this whole thing. We can get into some of that. I'll say sorry to go off topic there, but I'll give Weir a D. I think F is too extreme. I think D. I want to be credible here. I think D is warranted. Okay, I think if he'd had a good team and lost this bad, F would have been warranted. But I think it's just a tough hand, but also didn't do much to add to it. So, guys, I'm gonna give Jim Furyk a B+. I mean, the team whooped ass on the road. I still thought the Harmon pick was terrible.
Lost the session 0-5.
Listen, that's gonna happen sometimes. All right, weird shit happens in this. I thought, I don't know. I feel like he obviously nailed a fair amount of it for it to have been that dominant. He didn't screw it up. He had the winning. He had the better cards. He played the bets right, and he did an overall solid job. Do I think that things should continue down this route? No, I don't. But he got a lot out of a lot of dudes on the team, and I think he deserves a good grade.
I think completely average. I was going to give him a C. And that's not even a knock on Jim. I just think you could put thousands of people into that spot and the result would be the same. Like, I just don't I don't think captains matter. Like, I think it's silly, really, to begin with. But I don't. C, average.
Or if they
totally replaceable.
If they were forced to throw the matches on Friday,
they had a really good cup.
Well, I would probably give them an A then. A-. Right?
Yeah. I would say, listen, we can't be losing match 7-6. That's my nitpick there. But other than that, yeah, masterful job.
But that one's also like it puts Xander and Cantlay out. Like I'm never going to knock a captain for putting them out and losing 7-6. Like it's just that one's not really on him. Other than the Max Harmon pairing, which he went back to in foursomes, I didn't really have a problem with how he set things up. They just got their asses whooped.
And the guys that played, like the guys that played 5 times, Colin, Xander, Scotty, and Patrick played his dogs 5 times.
Yeah. And that's where I get back to like the captain's picks. He literally went 7. Like, I'm not sure what decisions he made.
He auto drafted.
Exactly. And so it's like, man, at the end of the day, like I'm sure you're a good guy. Guys had fun, but I just can't give him much credit for anything.
That's fair. That's fair.
Solly, it totally vindicates him for Paris.
Just the same way that KVV is vindicated for Keegan. Jim Furyk is totally vindicated. The venue. We're grading the venue. We touched on that. I would give it a D. Royal Montreal overall.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm
not
right there.
Royal Montreal's fault. It was put in a bad spot. We should have learned our lesson, as TC said after the first go round.
We had the we had the bridge debacle, which I guess they fought through that. The traffic wasn't bad this weekend. I guess the shuttle situation last night was a disaster, according to a bunch of people. It was tough to see golf. A lot of the greens are kind of elevated, and you're looking up at them. I don't even think it's the best course in Montreal that would have hosted this, where they had the Junior President's Cup. By all accounts, is like a better, more interesting golf course. But my big thing too is the fact that they're still relying upon government subsidies to choose these venues. When it's like, hey, are we going to do are we going to play offense here? Are we going to try to grow this product and figure this out? And also,
let me stop you right there.
I was going to say no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's like, all right, like that's how cheap we are. That $7 or $8 million. I don't know if that's Canadian or American. If it's Canadian, that's even more paltry. Is dictating the where this event goes, and it was such a disadvantage for the international team as well. Like there was such momentum coming after Royal Melbourne, and it's just like you look at the opportunity cost of going to Royal Montreal. There's nobody out there on Thursday. If not for Friday, there wouldn't have been anybody out there today. And just I think overall, it's just this is a TV product, a TV and corporate hospitality product at heart. You can do corporate hospitality wherever. You can figure out how to do that wherever. When it looks this bland on TV, that's a massive whiff. That's an F. And the tour, the tour just can't get out of its own way. And this is Monahan's first big swing as commissioner. Like he chose this, like his guys chose this venue under his commissionership. I think the other ones had been chosen previously, the other international venues. This is the first one that he kind of owns. This sums up Jay Monahan in a nutshell for me.
No, I can't disagree with
that. Like it's just
all short term. Yeah, it just doesn't.
It's unserious. Yeah. Like Fenway Sports, and I know you guys used to work with Jay. Like, start poking around. Come on, make some changes.
Totally unimaginative. It's stale. It's boring. Yeah,
you're right on. Sucked on Thursday and Friday.
Okay. Uniforms. How are we grading the uniforms?
I thought there was some stolen valor with the rowback.
Spell it, TC.
It looked like a little rowback. The stripe on the back on the yoke. I thought that was.
It did. Yeah.
I thought that was a little fishy.
Which is a huge compliment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously there's probably, don't want to cause a stink about here. I think that's one of the coolest embellishments that rowback has. And I think it could be a really big pat on the back to rowback. It's very interesting to see where it shows up at.
I thought really like the internationals all black. Yeah. I think that's like a very sleek, just looks good.
I thought the internationals had some good days and bad days. I thought like when both teams showed up wearing the same gray thing. Was that it's Friday or Saturday morning? It's like, what are we like? All right, both teams look like they're wearing the exact same thing. Like that's a whiff.
I would say the all black just makes them look like the Icelandic hockey team from Mighty Ducks that is there to
guys.
They're there to get beat. Like you can't wear all black and get beat like 10 straight times. Like that's the only real beef I have with that.
Yeah, sure.
But I thought the U.S. team looked one of the least offensive that they've looked in the past. It's somewhat modern and not the dumb blocky stuff not Michael Blocky, but like the weird block colors that they always have in there. I thought they looked relatively sharp.
I thought it looked a lot better than the U.S. Olympic uniform.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought, some guys it was better tailored for some guys versus others. I also
like every team, right?
It was Lululemon pants. It looked like too. Which I can't hate on those.
What grade are we giving NBC?
I'm gonna give him a C+, Solly. I thought.
Huh?
I thought.
Huh?
Again, we're grading on an NBC scale here.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I mean, that was the best NBC performance in the last year and a half, 2 years. As far as like,
Did you
I
hear
really,
the audio today? Like that
it was awful. Yeah, but like again, it's all relative. This was very much a listen. The plane was buzzing around overhead the whole time. There was a lot of playing through. I thought the commercial load was better than the Ryder Cup. I thought Faxon and the gang were mostly inoffensive. It was pretty bare bones, but it's like they got the job done.
It really sucks that the broadcasters themselves, like you said, TC, it's almost a compliment that they were inoffensive, meaning like they're not.
There's no ambition.
It's not additive, really. Like that's, we can talk about. We have
minus Bones
commercials,
Bones is
all that
additive.
stuff. The encores guys, the encores.
Smiley.
It's more the booth where it's just like, God, it doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, I mean it the lack of like lead up shows into it was, I don't know why I find that so frustrating. Real distinct lack of pro tracer off the tees. I felt like they're really using that drone tracer a lot, but going backwards on technology, no feature group coverage is just like when you literally are making people pay for the cock and you don't add anything on there. It's such a I always go back to DJ's phrase of like, it's all so technically passable. Like they showed every winning point, right? They showed the final of every, like technically they showed us the event with like no ambition at all. So it's D plus for me, but like I'm used to it. Like, but it's just it's very unserious and it's just like very frustrating. And it's nothing that we haven't said every single week, but I didn't think the commercial load was insane, but again, I'm just still dumbed down after watching a year of golf.
Yeah, and there's no features about anything, right? Of like you could have been
time for that. I'm fine with that anywhere. Actually. Like,
but there's no bumper, there's no stuff to lead in or anything like that. So, yeah, it's just like, man, if you're the tour and you're looking at that, you're saying, all right, they're telling us exactly what they think of this product, both the PGA Tour and the President's Cup, and they don't give two shits about it.
Yeah,
and Solly, to your point about, or Randy, to your point about like barely passable, I'll say C-, just because I feel like they didn't get in their own way all that much as they normally do. And granted, Cody, what was it, 18 seconds last night that they cut away, which is sick. And Faxon's gotta like lay out a little bit, I think too.
I just hope they figure out the booth, man. I think it's one of those things where they're like, oh, people like hearing different voices, and people seem to really like McGinley, and when we had Chambly in the booth at the US Open, like people dug that. So let's do that again. But you're like also just watering down live from. So now you got people jumping back and forth, and you're like, wait, what are we doing here?
No one played a President's Cup that was in. Noda was the only announcer that had played in a President's Cup. No, but none of the booth guys had played one. McGinley, like credit to him, like he's got a lot of good Ryder Cup experience, but he can't stop talking about the Ryder Cup. Like that's what his experience is. Like, no, I think I heard the words Ryder Cup like 45 times this week, which I don't know. We can talk about some of the potential changes.
I just thought too, like I think they're getting credit. I think back to the venue stuff, the tour's getting credit for like pooping in the potty a little bit with they built like it wasn't a big build out. They had the 4,000 fans on the first tee. It was empty the first day. It was empty for half the matches today. Like there weren't enough people to fill it up once people went out on the golf course. And there's people 1-2 deep on 3 or 4 of the holes. It's really not that many people attending. Like it's not, and I know, NBC made it a point to talk about how loud they were. Props to them. They got loud and they were raucous for the ones that were out there. But man, like you're not hashtag growing the game by taking it to Royal Montreal or in the Eastern time zone. Or it's just like, what an international whiff of it's such a good analogy for what the PGA Tour thinks of the potential of golf in the rest of the world.
I don't disagree with that. A couple highlights from today we didn't really mention. Just Scotty's hole out in the bunker on the first hole today was sick, just absolutely hooping it from the upslope of the bunker. Max also holed out for eagle on the first. I did get confirmation Kevin Kisner's shirt has finally been removed. So I actually think that was a good move from him to not rip off his shirt as an assistant captain. That would have started golf's World War III, I think. Like the British
you want
journos,
entertainment though,
the
right?
British journos would have been 21-24 before we would have heard the end of that one. I mean, we're still riding a Brookline train, and it would have been 100 years before they would have not brought up an assistant captain taking his shirt off at the President's Cup. So he did wait until after the final putt had dropped to remove it at the party. So
two things has also come up. I want to give a shout out to Max for slamming this tall boy.
it's a good stance there
during presentation. And the second one here, thanks to Claire Rogers for getting this over on Twitter, but from Ted Scott's Instagram, I can't play the music or else we'll get flagged here, but it's definitely from the game How We Do with Fluff. Teddy Scott just absolutely vibing.
All those prayers for Ted that we've said, if things have turned out pretty good for our guy. How's Fluff doing? Huh?
I was
like
gonna
he's
say it's
doing
got
all right.
a weekend at Bernie's feel a little bit to it to me.
We certainly saw enough cart or Captain Cam or Cart Cam this week to
It was an innovation. That was an innovation this week, is what we heard. DC. All right,
flood the zone.
we'll get some questions here, and we'll look back at some of our predictions on this. I'm gonna run through this. We're gonna go through the American roster. Yes or no question. Will this U.S. player be on the Ryder Cup team next year? A year from now, we're making our calls now. It's going to be predictions on no, I think their game might tail off. No, I think they're not going to be a great course fit. No, I don't. Any way you want to put into it, but will they be on the roster? Xander Schauffele.
Of course.
Yes. That's an easy yes. Sam Burns.
To be clear, the points,
Is this what we want, or
the
like
points starts with the majors? It started with the majors this year, and then the whole tour schedule.
The whole
moving
tour schedule,
forward?
and it's more weighted in majors next year, so the points are not much to this point. Like it'll get weighted down much more in 2024. Burns is a tough one. I don't.
No.
He'd be like 50-50 for me right now, and if I was to guess, I would say yes. He's barely. It's 51-49, I should say. He's barely on the yes side for me, and I think I still want to see some better form from him going into it, but I would not. I don't see a lot of guys barking at the heels, so I think there's a fair chance for a decent amount of carryover from this team into next year's team.
Yeah,
I think he will be on it. Yeah. And I don't necessarily that's not what I want necessarily, but I do think he will be on it.
Okay.
Ahead
well
of
at the
Brooks.
U.S. Open. Well,
ahead of
maybe
Bryson.
cut it to British.
I'll say, is this a better game to play? Do you want them on? Like we can do that. Let's do that. Do you want? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want them on next year's team? And you got to pretend you're an American fan, TC.
Yeah. See, that's where I'm like, I don't need Burns on the team. Like, no offense, I just don't need
I'd
it.
like to see some new blood.
I'm gonna still go yes, but like probably on my back 11th or 12th man. I mean, if we're adding Bryson and maybe Koepka, I'm still not totally sold on Koepka in these events, but that could be a discussion for another day. But there's
Plus, you
other
gotta
names
leave
I bump off.
room for let's say Dunlap has a massive year, or Clanton comes out and kills people. Like there's all sorts of yeah.
Yep.
You
Scotty.
gotta leave room for wow. Solid.
Yeah, exactly. We can go quick on this one, I hope. Scotty Scheffler, I'm going to go ahead and assume he's going to be on that team. I know he's not been great. I don't think it's been enough to justify not removing him from the team, so I'm not going to open that up for discussion just to save the time there. Russell Henley, you want him on next year's team? I'm going to say yes. I
want him on the team. Yes.
Saying yes.
Okay. Patrick Cantlay, the Hammer,
Yes.
PC,
Yes.
is a yes.
And I want LaCava too.
LaCava
Keegan.
grew up today a little bit, Randy. He walked silently to the back of the green, according to Dylan DeChair.
Keegan, playing.
I want Keegan as a playing captain, just because I think it would melt your brain solid. It would be content. It would be plenty to talk about, all that, and then I think the ultimate thing that Keegan can do is bring in Phil as an assistant captain.
Yes.
Oh God.
That's where I am. Listen,
I want chaos, baby.
If it's the last man on the team and it's like guys like Burns or Finau for me, like give me Keegan for all those reasons. TC, it'd be fun. It'd be different, interesting.
I'd be more open to it if he wasn't going to be captain. I think he said he's not going to pick himself. If he qualifies on points, he's going to be on the team, but he's not going to pick himself. So it's probably a no, but it wouldn't be because of his play that I wouldn't want him on. But Big Tone,
No.
I'm
Which
going
I
to
think
say
Beth
yes.
Page is probably a
I'm
really
going
good
to
fit
say
for
yes
him.
because of Beth Page. I think it's going to be this week did not go well, but I think Big Tone's going to be a good back half of that team. Wyndham Clark is very interesting. I'm saying no.
Not.
I'm saying no. It would be a course fit thing if I was, but he was terrible in Rome. I didn't see enough this week to change my mind on. I think I'm just good on the Wyndham team thing.
Solly, like if Wyndham was coming down the stretch, one of the last couple matches, and this thing's in the balance, are you confident or not?
No, that's what I'm saying. No,
Exactly.
yeah. So
I think I lean no as well,
Yeah.
but would not be upset if he was on the team.
Beth Page is the considering factor on a lot of these things. Like Big Tone back at Royal Montreal, I don't know if I would take that. But I know I would not take Clark. So Sahith, this one's interesting.
He's got to get his driver figured out, right? Just overall.
I net out. I default to the Ryder Cup's an entertainment product, so I do want Sahith on the team.
I'm no right now. I just don't think he's clean enough. I just don't think he's tidy enough. Can't trust him really in foursomes. It certainly seems like, and just if you're gonna play that poor in a President's Cup, I'm just really hesitant to roll you out in front of a bunch of obnoxious New Yorkers in the Ryder Cup. So I hate to do it. He's my guy, one of my favorite humans on the planet. But it's just not seeing it right now.
Okay.
Morikawa,
Yes.
Yes.
easy. Harmon,
No.
no.
Nah.
Max Homa, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got to get the
Yeah, of
driver
course.
figured out, though.
I'm just joking.
So I mean, the easy
Sounds
yeses:
like he's making progress.
Homa, Morikawa, Cantlay, Henley, Scheffler, and Xander.
Was that 7 of them?
I think that was 7. Yeah. So, and then Bryson, I think, is going to make a heck of a lot of sense for that golf course. Brooks Koepka literally won the PGA on that golf course. I think he's going to make a lot of sense. That brings 9. A lot of guys for those final 3 spots. Somebody's going to emerge. Somebody in that group probably will get hot and establish themselves. I don't feel terrible about that. I didn't love this President's Cup team, how they were kind of vibing coming in. But I think they'll be, keeping 7 of those and a little bit of turnover. I think I still like the U.S. chances at Bethpage. I'm not going to be like totally beating my chest going into it though, because I still think that they're a little bit vulnerable. I still think they're going to win. Home teams tend to win those, but I think they're just a little bit vulnerable.
I think we're going to have Dose Højgaards on the team, a healthy Ludwig. We got some predators coming up in the system. Randy, I like our chances.
Will Montecero be on the team, TC?
At Bethpage?
Not a good fit there.
Couple questions we can get to. At Nevin Hollett, from a data standpoint, how close was it? Because on the ground, it always felt like the internationals were in it or better. I do not know how you got to that conclusion, Nevin. I apologize, but the U.S. out ball struck the international team drastically by about 32.5 shots. They actually outputted the the internationals did by about 2 shots, but these things are 1 tee to green, and the internationals or the U.S. absolutely dominated tee to green. So statistically, this was not very close. And he also asked, how good was Cantlay's putter? Saw him a bunch of times and only need him to make everything. He was about the 7th best putter this week, but did seem like he made the putts that really, really mattered the most. So, we talked a lot about this a little bit, but Jawar Ziniak, how important is it that Furyk said he learned lessons being underprepared for pairings in Ryder Cup in 18? In winning this President's Cup, is Keegan a Bethpage, a trial run for Keegan in 28 Kingston Heath? I did not understand that question, but I think he's saying is Bethpage a trial run for Keegan to be the road captain in 28? But I don't know. There's no connect. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know. Yeah, this one feels like, I don't know, if you wanted to make the Ryder Cup captain like more of a serious job, then you make the President's one. Like, all right, this is the ceremonial one. It sounds like they're grooming the hell out of Brandt Snedeker for some of these captaincies. I'm sure Stuart Sink will get a shot at it at some point here. I think Xander's dad should be the international captain. I know he's German, but kind of a independent party there.
Do you think Trevor takes back over for
He should.
I hope so.
Hope so.
Medina?
Yeah.
Wish he would have asserted himself more here. I think it would have been, a little bit different. But I just don't like Ernie was the captain at Royal Melbourne, right? And I think that works. Like, you didn't have a ceremonial Australian captain when it was in Australia. And
Well, we're
I
gonna
think-
get that the next time.
Who are we gonna get?
It feels
Adam?
like Ogilvy.
Adam.
Norman?
Yeah.
Ogilvy.
Yeah.
I don't think Ogilvy would be too ceremonial, though. He's like one of the most thoughtful dudes out there. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but still, I mean, I don't know. You're right. I guess I never really thought about it. Everybody, I'm sure, assumes is like, oh, that'd be a great idea. Everybody, not just rally around the team, but the captain and everything else. And you're like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, why is that defaulted to be the thing? It's also crazy to look at just locations and realize that, like, this team represents the world, and they've only really been to like 4 countries. Like, they haven't even gone
Yeah.
at all to anywhere in South America.
Dude, the PGA Tour does not give a shit about world golf. It's criminal, Cody. It's criminal. So.
It should
Valerie.
it's very like somewhat serious idea. It should only be played on the road, this event. Like, make the American
Yes.
like make it the thing that the
Yeah.
US takes their talent on the road, and like don't go more than
Scotty and-
every other.
Scotty and the gang are gonna love that.
Yeah,
'Cause you know what? That
the
might help
money's
them
for it.
at the Ryder Cup too. We want to talk about preparing for the Ryder Cup.
But don't go more than every other cup where it's not in Australia. I think is kind of that's be the 2 changes I would make. But I see that comment as well. Angel Cabrera captain redemption arc.
Having the jockey club, yeah,
Hell yeah.
Well,
That
we'll
would
see
be
about
sick,
that.
though.
It would be.
yeah.
AJA Jesper Burke, should we put an asterisk on Max Homa's 2 losses in the President's Cup for playing with Harmon? I believe we effectively did that in the grading system. Joe Konopke, I doubt that's how you say it. Will they now finally blow up the Pres Cup?
No,
No.
'cause they're
No.
making money on it,
No.
and they don't want to share with anybody, and they have no ambition and no creativity, and and it's going to be. I think Chicago should be an interesting venue, but it's also crazy that like Montreal and Chicago are what 500 miles apart, 600 miles apart. Like, what are we doing, guys?
Serving that Midwest, baby.
And it just doesn't. And I know
TC,
they
you know the
redid
cost
Medina.
of shipping? It's hard. They got to get all the boxes across.
they redid Medina, and it should be firmer and faster and all that. But then again, it's like, and they got really lucky with the weather this week overall. But it's not helping the competition that they're having it on these Parkland courses either.
Very true.
And if I felt like they thought that mattered, I would rant about it more. But I just don't think they think that. I mean, they've evidenced very clearly they don't think that way. It's good.
It's
Like,
man,
real
if this was a
Melbourne's the
good
outlier.
product,
I
you
know.
you can make more money. That's what I don't. That's where it doesn't seem to compute to them.
No.
I will say this because I know we'll get to the live side of this in a couple more questions, Solly. But I ran this up the highest level that I could get on the LPGA Tour side, and at no point in time has the question ever been broached by either side of any sort of mixed event at all. So I know that gets thrown around a lot, and there's people who write about it every single time we have a President's Cup, and there's people that just like us that every single time we're like, oh, this would be the easiest thing ever. It would be an instant smash hit, and that the question has never been asked by either side.
Well, and it doesn't. Again, it's when you model an event after a really successful event, you are an imitation, and you at best can be 60% as good. You can never be better than the original, right? That's the first flaw, is like just trying to model it off that. And the second is like the PGA. It's the PGA of America, but it's really like PGA Tour American golfers against Europeans and against a different tour. And granted, DP World Tour is kind of, is very differently structured than it once was, but it was like very clearly like dividing lines of 2 like organizations up against each other. This is all under one umbrella of
Right.
the PGA Tour, and there's no actual us versus them thing. They've tried. I give the international side a ton of credit. Ernie Els and the team that have made the Shield a thing, and like given that international community
care
and identity,
deeply.
making like people that grow up in these individual countries and want to go play in this event. Like, that's the best thing about it. Like, that's the win here, right? But you're just like fighting this thing that like, and these dudes rushed this event to happen in 1994. to beat the Hemispheres Cup. And like they
Sick name.
did the world against the US. And like that's what they keep doing since then. And like they don't, the refusal to evolve it or recognize that the competition itself like clearly needs an overhaul is what's going to make it be like a bit of a punchline at the end of some of these events. And like I don't enjoy doing that, but like it's so very obvious that something should change here. And it's just like so emblematic of the whole scene in general of like, yes, this should obviously change, but it's obviously not going to for these dollar reasons and this short-term thinking that has got us, it's got us into this mess in professional golf in general. Like that's kind of where this event stands and where the entire professional golf world stands right now.
And that's where the corporate sponsors need to just say, yo, we're not paying for this.
How many need to not doing this?
There's one password and all
those
that.
are
It's
new
like,
sponsors. Like the old
No.
ones are like peace. So how do they
No.
convince like these tour people just cannot
And
stop
Chicago's
selling.
going to be, Chicago's a good market for corporate stuff too. Like they'll sell
Sure.
that well, and
100%.
they'll sell a ton of tickets, and it's going to be a good product in Medina. Like it's going to be an interesting golf course, the redone Medina, I think, and it should yield some pretty good match play competition and far better than the old Medina, I think.
So
Go ahead.
Cody, I mean, astutely says like there have been no even whispers of making this a mixed event. And so I think you turn to Solly, what you were saying, like two distinct golf tours going up against each other. Like the natural next place to land is like a Live versus PGA Tour. And I understand like that's never going to happen, but you want to talk about an interesting golf product, like that would have people tuning in. I think you could make a lot of money off of that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but then Liv would want to host it at Royal Greens.
Yeah, I mean PGA would have to like bear a little bit, right? And
But these are-
What-
they're-
wait a
the
second.
PGA Tour
What-
could lose.
They're
What's
working
the-
towards an agreement. Randy, they're not rivals anymore. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
Half these people on the U.S. team played an event already at Royal Greens when it used to be okay.
Yeah, I just can't believe we're going to Bellerive.
dude, I was gonna say, how excited are you to go Kingston Heath to Bellerive? That is a TC special. Going to like your favorite golf course in the world to your least favorite.
And it's going from your least favorite golf course in the world to one of your favorites. Solid. You hate Kingston Heath.
God damn it.
I mean, is there any chance by 2030 that the President's Cup looks markedly different?
God, I hope so.
Well, I had a question for you guys. We talk about all the time the Ryder Cup and how valuable the Ryder Cup is, and the potential of the PGA of America selling the Ryder Cup to get the cash. And forever it's been, oh yeah, the tour is interested in this, without realizing like, guys, you already you can make this event, the President's Cup, whatever you want. If it's about chasing dollars and everything, like have a little bit of foresight here and change it to go after that money.
I'm super curious to see the ratings for this
It's
week.
not gonna be
and
good.
like I hate to be this dude, but like I'm rooting for them to be catastrophic because like it needs to be so bad for there to be a wake up call, right? And I can't imagine that they're even remotely good. Last question here, and we got to do some Surf Pro mulligans. We got to do some coldest moments. But if Norm 007014, if there were live players on the international side, do we get a different result?
Well, I think they were getting closer. Like it seemed like they were like almost to the top of the mountain of like, hey, this is a fair fight. This is a real,
2019.
And I think 2019, granted they had the benefit of jet lag as well. The American guys were jet lagged seemingly and didn't understand how to play the golf course for the first day or two. But if you think about it, Cam, Joaquin, I'm kind of writing Mito off, but
How Tong
Sebastian Munoz.
It would have to be different, right? Like it would be.
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
bad. It'd be closer. I don't think they would have
Maybe
won.
Abe
but-
Answer.
Yeah, I'm not
just-
sure if it's a winner, but
There's just more depth. There's more combinations. There's more. You're not
Yeah.
scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're not talking about Nick Taylor versus Mackenzie Hughes here,
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
or maybe we are, and that makes it even worse. The whole Mike Weir thing, right?
Well, it's also like if live players were involved and we had Brooks and Bryson on this team, the U.S. team is also getting better as well. It would have helped the internationals more, I think, overall, but I don't think it would have been very close.
I mean, lest we forget Mean Dean Burmeister.
Yeah, that's true. It's got to be so frustrating for the internationals to show up to a course like Royal Montreal, that the Australians, anybody from South Africa or from, like, it's not a proper golf course that's going to bring out the best in that team. And this is your home.
Melbourne
event.
was a driver in making that event close and exciting. 100%. Like, if you put an event at a course like that, the Americans already have an advantage. They're pretty much unbeatable. Like, you're not going to beat a more talented team if you're going to introduce interesting strategical elements, introduce mystery and how the ball's going to roll, where you need to land it, and kind of make it way less of a distance contest and like more of a skill and precision contest. Short game skills on display, different types of shots around the greens. You have a much better chance of the underdog doing what they did and making it very interesting. Like, it's just such a huge whiff. Anyways, I think we've covered that.
Do you think was just a chipping contest right off the green?
That was the worst aspect of the week.
One quick question. If you took 12 internationals from Live exclusively, do you think it's a much different result than what we saw?
I mean, who would those 12 internationals
they would get pretty shallow pretty quickly as well, I think. They don't have 54 guys, Randy.
I know.
All right, let's see. You could go Abe Answer.
He stinks now.
Yeah, he kind of does. All right, let's just go off the standings this year.
Don't act like you got to pull this up. You know this.
Let's see here. Player standings. You got Joaquin Neiman finished second. You got Oosthuizen finished sixth. Cam Smith finished seventh. Those three are obvious.
Good.
Yeah. Your guy Dean. Randy.
Dean's your number 4.
He's a no-brainer.
Of course.
Answer and Ortiz, they're both playing. Leash is playing.
Sebastian Munoz.
Bond's been hurt, but he's definitely playing. Then you get down to Schwartzel and Munoz. And then we get to the open zone. All right. So these guys are not in the lock zone.
It might, yeah.
Then you've got Herbert, you got David Puig, who almost won the Spanish Open today.
He's Spanish. He would be European.
Yeah, you're right. He is Spanish. God, who else we got? And then it gets bleak. Like Nas not sniffing it.
Danny Lee.
Nas coming
American.
around. Come on.
Nas American.
Oh, he is American. Sorry. I'm thinking of the.
Let's not get canceled.
No, I was thinking of the Ironheads. I'm sorry. They're like the Korean team. Eugenio Chikara.
European.
That's not good. He's Spanish. Damn it.
We're gonna move on from this segment. But
No, I apologize. I guess my point is, like, I'm not sure it'd be like that different.
No,
maybe
but if you could combine it,
Scott Vincent's from Zimbabwe. The Vincent brothers.
Brendan Grace. I don't know if we mentioned him.
They're in the drop zone.
He's in the drop zone.
Yeah,
dropping like it's hot. All right, Surf Pro. Mea culpa. It is time for us to look back on some things. Can be kind of about anything here. As I am realizing I forgot to link in my copy here from Surf Pro, but we're gonna make some mulligans, some apologies. It could be about really at any point. It could be this event or anything. Here I have it. In golf, when bad shots happen, there's the mulligan ball. When fire, water, or other damage happens, there's Surf Pro. Thankfully, the pros at Surf Pro can help us clean up some messy takes from this week or this year, whatever you want to call it. Let's go around the horn on some bad takes and mea culpas and make them like they never even happened. TC, what do you got?
I'll lead off with my last 5 minutes. I'd like an immediate mea culpa.
Very good.
No, I think the Xander stuff, Xander stuffed me in a locker this year, just generally speaking. And granted, one of them was at Valhalla. I stand by those takes, but no, I think Xander had a great year. He rose his game and he did it in a way that left no doubt. So Xander and the Pat in the Hat didn't really do a whole lot this year. Didn't really have a great year, but somehow I feel better about the Pat in the Hat than I did at this point last year as well, which is amazing. So just all positivity, all love on this front, guys. And I'm glad I got to clean that one up.
Thank you, Randy. Any mulligans you'd like?
Well, I'll echo TC. Xander just throughout the whole course of the year, definitely would like some of my Xander takes to like they never even happened. But I have more of a meta question here, Solly, for this segment. And again, going back to Friday, if you were gonna take a dive, if you're the US team, a company like ServPro could really help, right? Their whole tagline is to make something like it never even happened. And that's what I think we have to look into. I think we have to be diligent. I want a subpoena. I want to open records requests, text messages, emails. TC, I think we have to work diligently to try to get to the bottom of any dive that may have been ordered on high of Team USA.
Randy, you know what Jim Furyk would say about this if we could quote him?
Cody's flashing the graphic. We're going to uncover the cover up, Sean. That's you and me. Come on.
Known unknowns.
Any suggestion from that you would the US team would throw a match, Jim Furyk would say, "Fuck you. You can go fuck yourself," and you can quote me on that. All right. I got
what somebody would say in that situation. I'm just saying.
I got a fair amount of mea culpas or mulligans I'd like from this past week. I think I got to take one on Keegan. It doesn't really change kind of how I've viewed the whole situation from last year, but he answered the bell. I thought he was fine to be on this team, but I didn't feel strongly either way on that one, but showed him to be a good, solid team player, team dude. And I'm ready to put my support behind his captaincy. And willing to announce that right now. I'm in on Keegan as the next captain. Said I needed a little time to process it when it was announced and understand it. Do I think it was a good process of getting there? Absolutely not. I think they just kind of guessed, but I think they guessed right. And I'm excited about what he's going to be able to bring to the table. And that's why I'll take that one. And the other one is Sahith. I was just absolutely riding for him to be a part of this team. And he was pretty much a zero this week. And I'd like a mulligan on that one. He's the case of like, we've done this for years too, with yelling for Horschel to get on one of these teams. And he got up to the President's Cup and looked like he didn't belong. Same with Saha this go around. It's just that cautionary tale of like, hey, maybe Akshay would have sucked this week too. I think we all would have liked to have found out this week, but golf fans and myself included in this, have a tendency to want to give the spot up to like the next up and coming guy, or just invent somebody into the next up and coming guy before they really show it. And this was kind of the cautionary tale of that, of not quite ready on that one.
That said, I think Horschel would have crushed this week. I think he would have, that would have been like a perfect golf course for him.
Yeah.
And I think there is a point to make too. There is a Solheim Cup team that did this with the young Rosang, and to come back around the second time,
true,
absolutely killed it. I think the first time it's a lot going on for a lot of these people, and it's just like, holy shit.
Yep. That's a very good point. All right, let's get to our Yeti coldest moment of the week. Randy, you are up first on this one. What is your Yeti coldest moment?
Well, bits aside, I just thought, I don't know, coldest moment, or I always think it's like the coolest moment, but I think it is kind of cool to have your Ryder Cup captain clinch the winning point at the President's Cup the year before he takes the captaincy. So bits aside, Solly, I echo what you just said about Keegan. I was very dubious, but I enjoy rooting for him. I feel like he's turned into somebody that's like very likable, and I really look forward to next year. So here he was on the live show. He's hugging Jim Furyk, and I thought, that's a neat moment. So
it's a very warm moment, but Yetis can keep your drinks warm as well. I think that totally works.
Right. This is my hot coffee. Thank you.
Completely works. Am I next on that one? I forget who's next on this one. I can go. My coldest moment, again, just speaking to, we spent a lot of time ranting about all the things that went wrong with the entertainment product this week. Siwoo Kim and Tom Kim both were like true highlights in the entertainment aspect. They agitated people in some ways. Siwoo didn't seem to agitate guys as much as Tom Kim did, but it was freaking cold when Siwoo drained the putt. And before it even made its hole, he's removing the hat. Like, that's the kind of showmanship I want to see. I had more fun watching this event because of the energy that those two brought to it. And that was just an extremely cold moment. And you could tell he planned for it. Look, maybe the night celebration was extremely cold, much like a freezing cold take for calling night on that one. But this event needs all of that stuff. And I greatly appreciated that one. TC?
Coldest moment for me was, I'm going to go literally cold, was my picks, my
That was
my
gonna be next.
preview stuff from the Wednesday happy hour, which, guys, I was in a dark place on Wednesday. I was trying to get myself up for this event.
And that was before you watched Taylor
I was in
Pendrith.
such a bad mood on the verge of this event, just because, like at this point, and I give
I've been there.
Trevor
TC,
and
I
these
feel you.
guys credit for deeply caring, and they want to win this thing. But when it's on a really, really mediocre golf course and just the product in general is just awful, I cannot get up for it. And it's like the PGA Tour creating inventory just to create inventory. And so I was in a really bad mood and I was in a dark headspace. And I said the blow pig was going to be the top point scorer for the US, which is outrageous. I said Corey Connors was going to be the high point scorer for the internationals, which he was tied for that.
Sure.
So all good there. I said Tom Kim was going to be low point scorer. I wasn't far off there, Sally. I wasn't, and who did I say low point scorer?
Burns.
US Burns. Listen,
Yeah.
subjectively,
That was
wasn't
not great.
that off.
So this started with you apologizing for your picks and then explaining how they weren't actually that bad. Is that how?
No, they were
is that
terrible. They were
Okay.
they were bad. They were bad. And I said the internationals were going to win, and then I said they were going to tie, and then I said they were going to win, and then I think I said they were going to tie again. So my head was in a blender. I apologize to everybody. I was cold this week.
Well, shout out to Yeti for all their support and all of our live shows throughout the course of this year as well. You can go to yeti.com and find all kinds of wonderful, tremendous products that we use every single day. They keep your drinks cold, keep your drinks hot. They keep your takes cold, they keep your takes hot. I was going to recap our predictions from this past Wednesday show. I said Morikawa wouldn't lose a match. That was my bold call. He went 4-1. So I thought he would go like 4-0-1 this week, which you said that wasn't a bold call, Randy, but I thought that was pretty bold. But
I got faith in my guy Colin. I'm back in. I bought all the stock.
I had Bez low international points. Man, he's the only one that had a winning record on the international side and got the two. He was actually tied for most points with a lot of other people that got 2 on that one. So, but I didn't know he was going to go up against Brian Harmon. That wasn't fair. I had Xander top American. That was a hit. I had Sungjae top international. That was a no. He went 1-4. I had Brian Harmon for low points. That is a big fat hit on the American side. Randy had Pendrith for low international. That did not end up hitting. Max for low American. That was mean. It was cold. That was close, and almost task failed successfully there. Morikawa top points. That was a hit as a tie of all those guys that went 4-1. Adam Scott for top points internationals, another hit because a lot of guys had 2 points. So shout out to Cody, closest with the prediction. He said 18-12 US. He was half a point off. Tron was a lot of different things on here, but did not. Ben got talked into flipping over to the international side. He picked a US original. He didn't really care. Flipped over to that one. Jordan had the internationals winning that one. Gonna have to own that one. 17-13 I thought was looking pretty good for me today, but they ended up winning 18.5, 11.
Jordan, that prediction that will go on her permanent record. That's a tough one.
I just want to step in and say I got really embarrassed during the Curtis Cup. I was riding hard behind Team USA. So I said, all right, here on out, rest of the year, I'm going to roll internationals. And I got embarrassed there too. So you know what? It's just been a year full of L's. And just got to, I don't know, guys.
We'll put that in the cold take.
I'm picking anything anymore. Maybe I got to stop.
We'll put that in the cold takes. It happens all.
That's a good lesson. Yeah.
If you got to learn from TC on this. You got to learn how to make that, twist it into a positive thing in there. You're young, Jordan. You'll learn. I promise.
I should have made my Yeti coldest moment just Taylor Pendrith's entire performance this week. Also,
I want to hear more on that.
I want to lobby. Which, Solly, if you do want to hear more on that, there's some other damning things as far as his record.
TC, we got
Shriners last year, Butterfield.
Nope, we're not doing it.
These are the tournaments he's cleaning up at. I will say, now that the
only
DP World Tour,
the only tournaments that he's actually in at the time until he won an event. So
no, he was missing cuts otherwise. I do want to lobby if the DP World Tour is like a strategic partner or there's an alliance there or something like that, then will you consider some of these guys that don't play on the PGA Tour for the international team? like Rikuya Hoshino, who's like had a great year. Or like there's various like Foxy's another one. There's various guys that like don't really get looked at because they don't play. They're not based on the PGA Tour, and I think that that like if they are going to keep this format and keep this competition going, then they need to give him the full breadth and depth of what's going on worldwide.
I do think the international team was a Foxy away from maybe competing this week.
Oh, come on.
Thank you, Randy.
Foxy stinks.
God, that shot he hit into 11 though at the Masters. It ended up going into the water. Oh my God.
Low. He hit one low shot that
slighted,
didn't hit the green, and you guys won't shut up about it.
We could have seen that all week.
He missed the cut at the Wyndham. He missed the cut at the Irish Open. He finished T61 at the BMW. They were a Foxy away from this thing being so close. God, I'll check you guys into the boards 2 hours into the show. Don't try that shit. What happened to the LPGA today?
Oh, honestly, Randy and Cody, was it like watched a little bit of it? It was Northwest Arkansas. Lucy Lee shot a 60.
What is this golf course?
With 2 bogeys. That's what I was going to ask, Solly. She had 3 eagles. They went to a playoff, her and Jasmine Suwannapurna, and who shot 61, an eagle to 18 to tie. And then they went to a playoff hole, both of them birdie. Suwannapurna then turns around and eagles the 18th hole in the second playing of it to win the tournament. And it seems like an unserious it's one of the 3-round LPGA events, which like they need to flush those out. And then B, like this just seems like an unserious setup and an unserious golf course.
Cody, do you know much about the golf course? I don't. It's been tape delayed all week, so honestly, I was gonna maybe watch some tonight. As you said, Suwannapura won, Lucy Lee hell of a round, but I candidly don't have a lot of context to add beyond that.
Lucy Lee played her last 14 holes in 12 under par.
The tour absolutely rides for this. Not only this
I will say,
event,
yeah, this is one of the favorites, I think, for players.
That Walmart money.
Yeah. Gino Titticum, another top 10. All she does is get top 10s. The good news, actually, we can go ahead and plug this. Cody and I, we're going to do an LPGA podcast coming out Tuesday this coming week. So we'll dive into this and much more on that episode. We'll have a much better analysis for the folks.
Okay.
Excited for that.
Solid. My guys over on the DP World Tour, they're on a magical run right now. Magical. Banger of a weekend at the Spanish Open. Angel Hidalgo won. It was a sweet win. Like it was
a great
playing with emotion. Golf course was fun. The 18th hole was this drivable par 4
with so much TIO. It was great. He beat John Rahm in a playoff. He had a 3-footer to win in regulation, and if that's gonna go down in the dictionary next to the word yip. It was one of the worst strokes I've ever seen. And the putt he made to win was also one of the worst strokes I've ever seen. But he held off Rahm in a playoff. He's a Spanish dude. Won his National Open. Rahm's his wife gave birth to their kid 5 days ago or 5 days before the tournament,
Monday.
I think.
Yeah.
But he needs to play it
Sunday
to get
Monday.
his Ryder Cup, to keep his DP World Tour eligibility, I guess, for that one. But
yeah, needed to play it and play well too, because he needs to then qualify for the stuff, the season-ending stuff over in Dubai. So, got it. Mission accomplished on that front. And they've they had Omega European Masters, which is always fun, into Irish Open at Royal County Down, into BMW PGA at Wentworth, in the Spanish Open, and they've got the Dunhill this week. And then they go to your favorite spot, Solid, the Le Golf National for the French Open. So just a nice, this to me is what is this time period that I think post Open Championship, the DP World Tour should just have, this is what they should focus their energies on.
Well, this is what it plays not opposite American football for us in the U.S. too. That's why this part of the schedule is way better than the U.S. PGA Tour during the fall, because everybody wants to watch football in the afternoons on Saturdays and Sundays. But this is good morning viewing for the true golf sickos. This is not the end of the year for podcasts for us. If you're new to the show by chance, we'll be still doing weekly podcasts every Sunday, but end of the live version of these shows is the end of real major big event golf for the year is represented here today. So what other housekeeping stuff we got before we put a wrap on this?
Yeah, just a good week on tap. We got Dunhill Corn Ferry Tour Championship. That's at French Lick this year, no longer at Victoria. And then the Sanderson looks a little bleak this week, and then LPGA is off. I wanted to give everybody a heads up. 2025 Sweetens Cove, like reservations are open. If you want to book the Birdhouse, check the calendar on our website, and you get
What's the
guaranteed
Birdhouse,
passes.
TC?
It is the house that we own at Sweetens Cove Golf Club, right above the first tee. We've got the first green. We've got a tee to the first green there that you can hit from the house. And yeah, Sweetens is back and better than ever as far as turf conditions, and had some buddies up there this weekend. They're saying it's looking primo heading into the fall. So birdhouse.nolayingup.com on that front. And then we're doing all fall. We're doing our Stone Creek Coffee and No Laying Up Evans Scholars fundraiser as well. So buy some great coffee. And we've got a custom mug in there as well. Got the Vision Fund. You got the Strokes Gained. That's Solly's Blend. All sorts of good stuff there. StoneCreekCoffee.com/nolayingup. They're donating 25% of proceeds to the Evans Scholars. So
lovely. Cody, anything we missed in a 2-hour President's Cup recap?
No, we're good. Big and I, as he said, will be back this week with an LPGA episode. The only other thing to highlight, TC, on those events is that we'll do a quick rundown of it, but it's also Epson Tour Championship. So we're looking at 15 cards who's going to move up to the LPGA Tour. Some big names in there that are outside of that line right now, like your player, Saki Baba, needs a big week, TC. So I know you're going to be glued to that. And a slew of others. And we had a young Swede, Ingrid, get her first win 2 weeks ago now. So things are moving in the right direction. But we got LPGA, we got another No Laying Up podcast. That's it. It's crazy, Solly. I think starting the year all the way back in Hawaii, we rolled out Happy Hour. We're up on numbers again. Another successful run of live shows.
It's crazy. Well, we really appreciate Cody, for all of the support that goes into to standing all these up and sifting through all those comments and all the work that goes into the graphics and pressing live and managing all these and the back end stuff. Jordan doing all the social clips on the back end as well. And everyone that tunes in live and does the live chat, we laugh at your guys' comments coming through, and it adds a whole another layer of buzz to the whole thing. It's really been something we kind of have done over the last 3 years or so, but it really has become something that we really look forward to, and it's kind of our key product at the end of it all. So we can't say thank you enough to everyone that puts up with all of our bitching and everything. And it's comes from a place of passion, I promise, and we really greatly enjoy it. So thanks to High Noon for supporting it, and look forward to doing a whole nother round next year, because golf's going to be, big time golf's going to be back in about 3 months. We'll go do it all over again.
Solly, it can't get, like, I feel like we soldiered through this year. We put energy behind it. And
don't say it can't get worse.
It's gotta get better.
Don't say it.
Never
probably get. It's going to be another ROM. Is there going to be another ROM that leaves this year?
For sure.
Who's it going to be? So. No, don't start the.
I think it would be Hideki, right?
Yeah.
Wait, also,
don't aggregators don't pick that up. That's just that is not sourced at all. Like I'm always afraid the nuclear golf's going to pick up one of these shits. No, I'm reporting Hideki to live. That's not.
No.
That's not what's being said.
Tristan Lawrence, 4th at the Open.
Nope. All right, that is going to wrap our show.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you back here on the pod later this week. But crack on. Cheers.
I knew that would get you guys out of here.